everyone. Welcome to Play Dicely After Party. My name is Christy Clow, and we have another double episode coming at you this week because we are going to be discussing two episodes, episode 17, Kindling and Curiosity, and episode 18, Today is for Books. So without further ado, let's get to some questions.
Woo.
So, episode 17 started off really casual, probably as casual as Dallas asking about a certain topic in last night's episode.
So casual.
So casual. We were just like in the moment of like a kind of highly emotional situation, which was Rhea recovering from having been resurrected. Logan, start us off. How did Azaria feel realizing what had happened and that the fact that they had been resurrected by the party?
I think they were very just like confused and overwhelmed by everything that was going on. Like 1 second ago, sexy assassin lady was in front of them, then now they're in a church and they're like, what's going on here? Oh, I died. Oh shit.
Yeah. Did Azaria have any kind of like preconceived thoughts about like if this was to ever happen to them, like if they'd want to be brought back?
Yeah, and I think I'm not going to bring it up here because I think it'll probably come up in I think the next episode or something whenever Alwyn talks to them about this after their conversation with their god. So I think that'll be a better thing to like fester in there. But yeah, there were some thoughts that Rhea had about, you know, death in the afterlife, and yeah.
Great. Well, I'm looking forward to that scene. So is Dallas, I can tell.
I don't want to have this conversation.
It'll be fine. There are a few conversations that our group needs to have, but some of them I just don't think are going to come up. So it's fine. Just repress it, move on. And now that a few days have passed canonically, Logan, do you feel like Azaria's feelings have changed at all? Now they've actually had time to kind of parse everything and also recover.
I think that like part of their feelings changed hearing everything that like, because like the way that I role played it was like all those things that you did to bring me back were like actively things that their like soul heard as they were dead. So like they were convinced also to come back, which is why that they make Alwyn tea every morning now.
Oh, it's so sweet. Yeah.
So nice.
Jesus.
Really,
I'm
Alwyn
so
is doing
stressed
well.
about everything, honestly. I'm not doing well.
You want to dive into that at all, or are you just
Oh, it'll come up. We'll talk
Why
about
are
it.
you stressed? That's the question.
like is it just like related right now to the resurrection specifically?
No, I think there's a lot of things going on that Elwyn is like starting to be like, what have I gotten myself into?
That's fair.
And like, have I made a lot of mistakes to be at the point I'm at right now? I think there's a lot, like, I'm worried about this resurrection thing because I feel like Elwyn thinks that she pushed for it. She was the one who like suggested we go to the temple, and she like made a speech about it and stuff. And so now I'm concerned that I pushed for this to happen, and I don't know if you totally wanted it to happen. And now Layla's like, also your friend might be fucked, and I'm like, uh-oh. And also, there's just a lot going on. I don't know if I trust Layla super much right now, and I don't know if I trust anything that's happening in this city right now. Everyone's being really nice, and I don't trust it. So I'm just very stressed, kind of in general.
Right. It's
Yeah.
interesting. I
Solid.
think like one of the main dynamics I think our party has is like who can be the most guilty about a certain situation. Because like I Nell is feeling a lot of it because this whole like dealing with the crime thing was my idea, and boy did it go well for us guys. So that was like a whole thing. So like I feel like everyone has like a sensation that they are the ones that are uniquely responsible for like certain things that have happened, especially with Rhea dying. Like I know Drac was feeling that. Obviously, Alwyn is feeling like now guilty about the resurrection itself. Like we're all kind of fucking in it. So good.
Yeah, it's
healthy.
a nightmare.
Yeah. we're doing well. We all need therapy. That'll be the next episode. Yeah. Okay, speaking of, was anyone else expecting Janet to be a bit more harsh in
Okay,
for
but that's what
punishment,
I'm saying. That's
or
what I'm
it's, like,
saying, though.
Abe and us. Yeah.
No, but that's I've been thinking about this all night. Where like, yes, I thought first of all, like in episode 17, I was like, we got off so well in this. Like, we should have been like thrown in jail. We caused a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Like, and we didn't really even do a very good job at the thing because all of the bad guys got away. Like, we didn't really do a very good job.
Yeah.
And then they were like, we got away scot-free. I was like, this is actually great. And then they were like, have all the gold and magical items in the world, and I'm just really concerned. I don't think we did a good enough job to warrant this.
Those were so Denny can throw the giant dragon at us.
I know. That's so what's about to happen.
I
for sure.
I think we did an okay job. Like at the end of the day,
Sure.
whatever was going on was thwarted. Like the bid is done.
Yeah.
The law enforcement knows that what the ploy is and all that stuff. They have the information about who's involved and particulars as to why, some of them. And then yeah, it's one of those things where they'll probably have to start all over again, or start elsewhere.
Yeah,
So-
I mean,
Oh, I don't
That's-
like that.
that's kind of pretty on the nose because like your objective with the crime spree was stop all this crime. Like you guys were basically like B students, you know, like if you wanted A+, you know, you would have caught the criminals responsible, like, and but what you did was you found out information. You have disbanded the gangs within the city, so like you're beating yourselves up quite a bit.
Right,
And we
okay,
took out a
but we
couple
were
lieutenants.
The sure, the execution wasn't exactly perfect, but the objective was achieved.
right, but we were B students who then broke into the Chandier's office, stole a soul gem, and then blew up an inn. Right? Like that's got to bring our grade down a little bit further.
It's,
And they were
like-
just like, have everything.
But
I don't
hey,
know.
C's
I don't
get
trust any of
degrees.
these people.
They researched my body for
Jeez,
50
get
years. Like, I feel like that entitles me to
Like they owe you.
have a
And
little
they-
explore.
They did
Yeah.
financially take out the cost of the repairs of everything from what
Not
we
the soul
got.
gem though. We paid for the safe, but not the soul gem.
Well, that's
No.
irreplaceable.
Right? That should go. Why did they give us so much money?
They're probably going to employ us in the future for something.
Okay,
Yeah,
to be
as we're
fair,
about
so-
to leave, they're going to be like, here's the dangerous thing you have to do to really make up for all of
Yeah.
this.
Well,
So
exactly. I
I
think they're
mean-
just like, hey, like, really, you owe us. I
They-
don't
I mean,
think.
they
I
don't
don't think this
know
is the
this.
end.
like they don't know this, but like we literally are doing that for them though. Like we're doing that for fucking like every, and this is like more like me, the player, like now wouldn't be like this like aggressive about it, but like the steps that we are taking next are going to be to like figure out this like issue in the balance of the world before everything goes fucking haywire. So like yeah, I think we're gonna earn it.
We'll earn our keep.
Unless we fuck it up and then everyone dies, then oopsie. But what are you gonna
In
do?
which case, nobody has to care about money anymore. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Bringing it back to kind of more of the chronology of what happened through these episodes, I'm going to jump in with a question myself. So, Christy, you
what?
discovered a bit more about how the mechanics of how we're playing with your advanced wild magic surges, where
Yeah.
I had told you previously how it was going to work is if it was a non-combat situation, I would roll on this non-lethal wild surge table, and I would get to do that once per day for free, regardless, unprompted, whatever. And then you've got your normal wild surge table where if you cast a spell, something could potentially happen. But you learned that when you do the Tides of Chaos to get that, those rerolls, even if you're out of combat, I'm still going to roll on that crazy table. So how did you feel learning this, and will it affect your play style in using that ability moving forward?
Yeah, me as the player, love it. You actually messaged me later, like a few days later, and you're like, "Are you okay that I did that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I love it," because my whole thing is that I want it to be like worse than the typical wild magic stuff. So that was fun for me. Nell was not feeling great. She was like so upset.
Wild.
Like, literally wait till tomorrow. Like, oh my God, so much has just happened.
Well, you
And
know, I
like,
thought that original table was much more cruel than I remembered it being. There's really only 2 effects on that table that'll do
Yeah.
damage to a group of your friends. So otherwise, it's either yourself receiving damage or just funky things happening.
yeah, so what a good time to have rolled the like 1 out of 2 that
It was so beautiful. We couldn't have had a better time for that to happen.
Oh man, yeah, I don't know. It just like I really hated the timing of it because I was like, let's just end what just happened today because it's been one of the worst days of our time together. But of course, that's just like not how D&D works in terms of storytelling. It's always going to be like weird timing, but in the best way. So it's just like, oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. I think at the moment she was feeling pretty fucking angsty because like she realizes like how close it was to like her full out killing Gideon. And the thought that if it had happened like anywhere closer to Azaria, that would have just absolutely destroyed me.
Imagine if I died twice.
I don't even know what Nell would have done. Like it would have been so
That
bad.
would've been a real problem.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I had been standing like 5 feet closer to my door.
God, I hate it. I really don't want to. I don't like thinking about that. Like I barely like thinking about like if it had fully taken out Ryan. So like at least that would have been like somewhat better. Like we probably could have resolved it easier than if we had like killed you again.
Just imagine going back to Jenna and back to that church and being like, we need to steal another diamond. They died again.
Yeah, they'd just be like, you guys are like, we should get like frequent flyer miles or something because we're there so often.
One of those
After 10
sandwich club
resurrections.
cards, yeah.
Yeah.
Our 11th one is free.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't
Get
know.
a
Like I
voucher.
just feel like I don't even know if I fully like processed everything because things just kept moving forward. So still I'm not super sure about all of it, if I'm being honest. As for if it's like I'm gonna change
Yeah, I was just
Go ahead.
about to bring up that second part of the question again.
yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's funny because like literally before this happened, I was talking to our friend Matt about how I should just like start spamming the Tides of Chaos ability because I was saying how like I want to like surge more just for fun. And then this happened, and honestly, I might still do it,
I think you should do it.
I think you should.
even though
Oh,
because
yeah.
I rolled it once. Like, what's the chances that I'm gonna roll it again? You know, it's probably fine. So
Those chances aren't very high. So
Yeah, I think it's like
Yeah.
2%.
yeah, so it was like a fluke that I did it the first time. So I feel like it'll be fine and more fun
There's
stuff will
no
happen.
way it'll happen again.
No, absolutely not.
Never. That's not how D&D works.
A level 10 cleric has a better chance of divine intervention than you do at rolling a fireball again.
That's some pretty good odds, I think, because I know how hard it is to roll that. So
I've tried
It'll-
so many times.
yeah, it'll be fine. Yeah, I felt like I was gonna say something else and I forgot. So all good. Yep. Yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes, but oh well. I'm gonna backtrack briefly to the fact that like before that, Azaria's room was broken into. I can't remember if we resolved this, if I'm being honest, because so much has happened. Did
I think
we
did.
No.
figure out
No.
what they might have been looking for? Like, does Azaria have any idea? I'm
Uh,
curious.
I don't think Azaria does, but I think we as the players know because Denny asked me if I had a thing.
Yeah.
Which was
What was it?
was the note that was like the Midnight Sun KM,
Oh shit!
the one
that's
that
right,
you have.
that I have. But they don't know that, I assume. So.
Oh, you know, we should give that to Jenna.
Oh.
It's evidence.
Probably. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it'd probably be good to not have it in our hands anymore. Like
Yeah,
at some point
it
we need to
doesn't
give
seem
it
to
to
matter.
some authority figure. And I was like, oh, Brule Bar's probably the place to do this. They're, the big center of it all.
That's
But you know what? Valenbridge is also a big place, and they could probably get this up to the right chain of commands. We should make a copy of it first.
I was gonna say Nell for sure would make a copy. There's absolutely no way she would just like give it away. Absolutely not. Like I feel like I just have such a desire to be the record keeper that no. Yeah. Also, this is a side note that I was just thinking of recently, thinking about like our next steps. I'm like actually like nervous to go to Brole Bar next if that's what we choose to do, because I feel like that's just that's the biggest city hub, right, on this continent. So I'm nervous to go there, and because then I'm like, what if it doesn't have the answers we need? Like, what then? And I'm a little bit worried about that. I know that's far away. But.
I feel like if we go to Brole Bar and it doesn't have the answers, then we just follow the paths leading to the druidic zones and see where that leads us.
Mm-hmm.
Probably to the bottom of the ocean where we'll drown and be killed by an undead, or what is it? The spirit of a dead dragon?
A ghost
dragon.
Ghost dragon, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited to meet
It's
this
not
ghost
an
dragon.
ocean. I think it's a lake.
It's a lake. Yeah.
It's technically
A
large enough
swamp?
to be a sea.
Okay.
See?
Well, I don't know the difference, Teni. So.
It's salt water.
I'd also like to hit up Balesville and see if there's any remaining, like, anything of the didact that was present there.
Actually, that's a question I have for you further down. Who was that person to you specifically? Because it just felt like it had like a certain reaction to you when you read that like they were listed as dead, but their body wasn't recovered.
So to Ryan the player, that is the daughter of my previous character.
Yeah, okay, that I put together, I think.
To Gideon, in the moment, I was like, oh geez, like there goes another thread, like that I could have potentially had. A big thread. So, yeah.
Okay, interesting. We're hopping all over the place now. Cool. Okay, so the next day was our official first day of research, but first it started with Jack giving us all friendship bracelets.
By the way, we
He
should
did not
probably
give
say
me a friendship bracelet.
Oh, no. Also, Anthony's not here.
I know. I have a specific question about this to him, but I have questions about it for us to answer as well. Mainly that like how did everyone feel about this gesture from Drac? Especially because he seemed surprised that we all like were willing to just like put them on right away. So did anyone actually have any like hesitancy about wearing them? Because I was
like to make it clear that I did not put it on. I took
did
one.
you not?
I took one, but I would like to make it clear that I'm not wearing it.
So who did Azaria put theirs on? Right?
Yeah, I felt like Drac is suffering enough because I died. It wasn't as much like I still think I agree that like I think it was like in the session after when Abe's like we should figure out some like how we work as a group combat talk, and I was like, yeah, we definitely need to figure that out. I don't think we are a solid unit in that sense, but I was a little guilted, and I was like, yeah, we are a group.
So everyone's just
definitely,
doing
like-
it out of pity?
I definitely did find out.
I
immediately
wasn't.
bad.
I had no idea. Well,
Oh, this
in my
party.
mind, I'm like, this was like a great moment, and apparently everyone else is like, no.
I'm completely indifferent as I don't know they exist.
To be fair,
Abe was
Ryan, I
right
didn't
there
get one
with you.
either.
I know, it's okay.
So funny that Gideon didn't get one.
That's
Yeah.
so funny. I think it must have been because so much happened, right?
Well, also,
Probably.
he slept it until like 11 a.m. that morning. He was handing
Yes,
them out.
I
that's
did.
true. Okay. Yeah, it probably had something to do with it. Did Abe put his on?
Yep.
Okay. well,
No hesitation. The group.
Yeah, I was thinking too. I was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's all be connected because everything's hard right now. So, cool. Well, that's good. We can maybe not tell Anthony about that part. about the
I think it's good to know. It's certainly something that can come up later.
It's interesting too, because like the three that had like accepted this idea are the three characters who are also tied to like some sort of divinity.
That's true. Yeah.
Very true. Interesting. I
Would
like
you
watching
put it
how,
on,
like-
Ryan? If he had given you one?
Ooh.
You know,
Oof.
I don't know if. Yeah, I think that might be something that comes out in game if it happens.
That's really funny. I think it's honestly probably at this point that like Anthony forgot that you didn't get one.
That
Because
I
the series of
figured.
events were that like he gave it to everyone downstairs. I went up to talk to Abe, and then Adam's sick ass monologue happened, and then I think then Drac also talked to Abe.
I believe so.
So and then we all just were like eager to get into the lore. So it probably was just like one of those things. But I'll make a note of that to tell him because it's really funny to me. All right, speaking of, let's talk about this monologue, and that's Teni.
No, go ahead. This seems like a good question to go with first.
Okay, so the main question I have, Adam, other than how dare you, is have you, like, how long have you had this like vision planned as being something that would happen after a kind of harvest someone that was worthy for the first time? Or is it something that you just kind of like wrote in between the episodes? Or did you always have an idea?
I wrote it down in between episodes, but I've had the idea that it's both a literal and metaphorical, sailing across the river kind of thing. So yeah, probably with the character's creation, I was thinking about like what actually happens, because I originally I kept thinking of like, I thought Valen was going to be the first person because I didn't know he was going to be this badass neon elf vampire thing. So I was like, all right, we're going to go beat him up and see what happens. But obviously that didn't happen. So it's like, all right, well, we'll work on it a bit more.
What if that had happened with what's his face from before, the one that I killed? I feel like it would have like
interesting.
Really, it would have been like an interesting jump start to a lot of the stuff.
I feel like it was a jump start regardless.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It told us a lot about you, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I am so curious to know, like now that like we have like I have the knowledge of like Arthur Pendrak, that plus that vision, and then you confirming it's like that person is the ferryman of the worthy, which by the way is what I didn't say last night for everyone else in case you didn't know. It's the ferryman of the worthy is the title that if like apparently when it's said like shit happens like a lightning strike and an earthquake. So yeah, I was like, oh, what does that mean? Like, why is that one so like volatile? So I'm curious about that.
Didn't Adam hear that? Abe hear that like a couple days ago? I see. Okay,
Yeah.
cool, neat, nifty.
When did that one
No
happen?
relation.
In terms of the timeline, was that before the trial?
That was me. Yeah, it was before the trial. I was just sitting in my room for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody was prepping, and he was like,
Yeah,
What am I doing here?
true.
Yep.
Oh God, I feel like having that knowledge now, it feels like a bit of like a big red button to me, where I like really just want to say it and see what happens.
No, you're the worst. I'm gonna play a wild magic sorcerer. I'm gonna spam Tides of Chaos, and I'm gonna say the secret word that destroys things.
And again, I just want to be clear, this is me trying to go against the typically like pretty chaotic archetype that I play. So I'm doing really well.
Could
But
be.
see, all these things, I'm saying them out loud as the player, and I'm not like actively doing them in character. And that's the difference, I think, because my other characters, I just do the thing. So
I was gonna say the writing that Arthur did about Malden and everything would have theoretically in the timeline taken place before Abe reawakened. So there might be correlation between like saying the ferrymen are the worthy when there was no chosen
Ooh.
to occupy that role.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that might have just
Don't-
been tossing spaghetti at the wall, but you know, look at
You're
it,
adding, like,
Denny's
more
face.
fuel. Yeah, you're adding more fuel to the fire for me wanting to try this now. If you told me that in character, I'd be like, interesting. Maybe I could try it.
Yeah. I don't know what would happen.
Well, cool.
Shall I hop in with another question?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Denny, we're going chronologically, and I've got 2 questions for me here. So,
So, in the midst of all this, resurrecting Azaria, dealing with those criminals and all that, your brother was thrown into the mix, Christy. That being Finn, another paladin of Fyra, and he had been out doing the paladin good deed for the last 2 years. So he was completely unaware of everything that had happened at home, that being Nell freezing your family in time. So you caught him up on everything. Did his reaction to this news surprise you at all? And how are you feeling about the situation, knowing that your brother now knows and is now going to go home and try and see how he can help out?
his reaction did surprise me, because I think it did and it didn't. I think because as we continued the conversation, I just felt like in that moment, you and I were kind of fleshing out what their relationship is and how they talk to each other. It's the more that we talked, the more it felt yeah, okay, this seems like how he would have reacted. But leading up to it, I was really scared, because I was just oh, Nell is taking this whole thing so taking it so personally. That doesn't really make sense, but she's feeling so fucked up by it and guilty and everything. So I think she kind of wanted someone to reaffirm that for her and be yeah, you did fuck up, that was bad of you to do. And then the fact he was kind of all right.
Well, I mean, it's very apparent as we've seen the characters move along that one of Nell's unhealthy traits is magnifying her guilt and then carrying it with her.
Yeah, definitely. And it's hard now, because I think the deeper we get into everything that's happening, there are so many fucked up things going on with everyone and just the world in general, that it is starting to feel a little bit smaller to her. Obviously it's still important, it's still something she wants to fix, but she's starting to feel it could have been a lot worse. And I think the conversation with Finn helped with that, plus then being able to commune with Reynard and Fyra as well. But again, so much has happened. I don't really know if I've fully parsed it out yet, how she's trying to balance it, because it feels it's going up and down constantly. It was fucking fireball, that was terrible, and then okay, Finn seems pretty chill about this, maybe it isn't the end of the world, and then I don't know. I just feel maybe it's not going to be super clear for a while, but she does feel great that and Elsa's still guilty a little bit that Finn's going back there now, because she's partly worried that maybe he had more to do out in the world and his journey wasn't quite ready to bring him back home just yet, so she's nervous about that. But she is glad that he'll be there, because I think that was the hardest part, was leaving, because she knew that she had to, but it doesn't feel good, obviously.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, and then going back to the conversation we just had about Abe's vision, you were the one who got dealt this hefty monologue of the details of ferrying a soul to the Crimson Sands of Paradise. How was that experience, sitting in the room with Abe in that recounting?
I loved it. I was so happy it was me, if I'm being perfectly honest. Just selfishly, I was stoked. I was this is so cool.
before you continue, I have an interjecting question. Adam, would you have had that monologue with any other character?
Maybe Drac. So I feel like Drac and Abe have a bit of a rapport of like, I don't know, intellectual discussion with each other.
Right.
Whereas I feel like Nell and Abe's relationship is much more like on the emotional side and like talking about feelings and the situations that they find themselves in.
And again, this same triangle of the three touched by the divine.
Yeah.
That's true. It also like brings up like the point. It's like I feel like a lot of our conversations, not just like you and I, but like just within the party in general, like people just have kind of like individual conversations a lot. And then I wonder, I'm like, is it just kind of like we assume that we then like fill everyone else in, or like how much of this is specifically like, oh, this actually just is like just like a one-on-one and other people don't know about this? Because I'm kind of curious to see like everyone else's thoughts about it as well. Because I don't know, I think for me, like it just added to like the mystery for now, because she's really like committed to trying like piece this thing together, because it just seems so large. I don't know, I feel like at this point like nothing really seems too shocking to her in regards to Abe, so I don't know why.
Well.
I mean, I feel like it was like if the freaking moment at the railway fight didn't do it, I don't think anything afterwards is going to, right? Where like he almost turned on her. So yeah. But yeah, it was dope. I loved every second. All right, guys, are we ready to go to the library again?
Oh heck yeah.
All right. So we made it. We finally did it. There were no ghosts this time. It was just us and the books. I'm curious to see, like, we obviously had a lot of information that we all uncovered and still, I think, kind of need to parse and work through. But what was everyone's most surprising or interesting thing that they learned from their area of research? I'm going to go around, actually. I'm going to dictate this. Dallas, you're first.
Definitely the most surprising was the Reynard Fureclay Forest tie-in. That was very exciting for
that
both
was mine
Elwyn
too.
and me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool how that came about. Like how we discovered in game that this was a thing, and yeah, very fun tie-in for our characters.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, because I'm like, so we found 3 things now that link back to like roughly about 3,000 years ago. So being like Reynard, this stranger, and then that story about the moon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, like what was there like an event or something specific that happened around that time, or like I'm curious to know if it is all linked to a singular thing, or.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I was also pretty happy with that piece of information, because it was like, oh, Dallas would love to have this, but I'm going to put it in Christie's information.
I would love to know this.
That's fun.
No, that was very cool. That was very fun. The way that happened.
Okay, who's next? Logan.
My most interesting thing that I learned is still a secret.
I hate you.
And you guys will find it out maybe at some point. Yeah, I think though, like in the stuff that Rhea shared, I think that like these 3 areas, there kind of seem to like be things that connect, at least like each of them have like a connection to at least one other. It's like, oh, there were like elves in both places. Oh, there's these like weird people are seeing weird lights in both places with like the. And I want to find out what this ghost dragon is. Oh, I want to take down a ghost dragon. That sounds
With a
so
boat.
cool. With
I'm
a
gonna
boat?
actually befriend it, so just keep that in mind.
We're gonna be at the helm of a pirate ship. I'm gonna have the storm bow there, pierce it with this lightning arrow.
All of your bad rolls have been leading up to this one epic moment.
This one
that for
moment.
sure is gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'll
100%.
crit fail, and then I'll eat me, and I'll die again. I'll get one step closer to that Subway gift card.
Oh my god. Well, that's just good storytelling, is what that is.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I look forward to it. Okay, well, that was an infuriating answer. Thanks so much. Ryan.
I
Yeah.
try.
I think the most surprising information was that Gideon was actually in training. Like he was actually enrolled in some form of sorcerer training. And I was like, you know what? That just makes sense when I look back, but oh shit, I didn't see that coming.
Ooh. Part of my research was like talking about sorcerer stuff. So I finally had like an in canon name for my own magic. And there was like a weirdly like large section of it that was about like draconic bloodline sorcerers that felt like really specific to me. I'm like, why is this here? Because I know that's not what I am. So maybe that's what, because like in what you looked up, like were you specifically given the word sorcerer, or did you, Ryan, just say that?
I was given the word sorcerer in my document. But of
Just
course, Gideon
saying.
doesn't know much about magic, so he's like assumed a
Pretty.
wizard, but
Interesting. Might be a connection there.
maybe.
All of Christie's lore is actually our lore.
Yeah. We are all just Nell.
He's so fun.
Yeah.
I'm just like holding on to stuff and I'm like, this probably isn't relevant.
Also, the fact that, my previous character's daughter is, dead in quotations is pretty surprising to me, too. So.
Do you think that Teni would just do that without like
I mean, I gave him express permission to do as he pleases. If, you know what I mean, I signed up for this game knowing what I was getting into. It's probably going to be pretty tragic, man. So, especially I made Gideon, right? He's a super tragic character, so I expected nothing less than tragedy.
I mean, to be fair, she would have had a good long life. I mean, thinking
Yeah.
about the timeline, I guess she would have been about 50 years old.
Yeah, mid-50s.
Yeah.
Mid to late 50s. So,
Well, I mean, the event was 9 years ago, so subtract 9 off. Yeah, anyway.
mhm. Yeah, so she'd be like in her 60s now if she was still around.
that's basically dead. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I had no choice.
Time is
want to
a
play an old
problem.
woman.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I killed
Wow.
Miles off at like 56, so
I didn't realize we were with so many ageists here. It's
yeah.
brutal. All right, Adam, you didn't really have research, but you did have a cool conversation with Mary Mass. So I figured I'm counting that as your research
Oh, sure.
in a way.
Yeah, it was interesting to know that Abe had been studied at this place. I didn't really give much thought to like what happened with Abe between the Battle of Broad Bar and waking up. So it's interesting that he was just sort of being examined, I guess. I mean, I knew he was sort of like a collector's item, but didn't really know much beyond that. And it's all the conversations with Maramis have definitely, especially with the combination of the money we got, have definitely sparked some interesting thoughts in Abe, which I'm sure will come up in game or later on in this after party. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Adam, when you like thanked Gideon for like taking you to Starcross, I teared up, bro.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I was like, oh man, I'm just like, oh god.
This
I just like that you just referred to Abe as like a collector's item. Like there's like a bunch of Abe figures and someone's just trying to get like, oh, I got this ultra rare Abe right here.
See the slight paint differentiation on his collarbone?
Limited edition Abe.
There's only 6 of these in circulation. I had a train of thought,
Mhm.
and it disappeared.
did it have to do with the possible topics that would be approached later on in the campaign or in this after party? Or that
was-
Ryan was like tearing up.
I think it was Maramus based.
Uh,
Nope, it's gone.
all right.
We'll never know.
It'll come back later, perhaps.
Perhaps.
Cool. Well, thank you everyone for sharing. I'm now gonna like individually point out all of you again because I have specific questions more so. That was a fucking train wreck of a sentence, if I'm being perfectly honest. Moving on. Ryan. you're up.
Hey.
You talked a little bit about it, but we learned some like pretty heavy stuff about what's going on with Gideon right now in his past. How are you doing?
Again, I knew what I signed up for. When I asked Denny to write me a tragic backstory, well, I mean, I wrote a tragic backstory, but I asked him to make it more tragic. I knew he would deliver, and I'm very thankful. I'm sad, but I'm very thankful. Because this is what I asked for. So.
True. I think in particular, like, I'm curious how Gideon feels about the potential possibility that these dreams he's been having might be like repressed memories.
Yeah,
Because it feels like that's like a pretty significant
that's
thing
huge.
that's been learned. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in game Gideon's gonna start like a dream journal,
Fun.
and I think actually that'd be really cool if he did. We'll try. Maybe he'll try to like get into like lucid dreaming.
I literally was about to say like, dream journaling is the first step to lucid dreaming. So
Yeah, so maybe he could
There you go.
like figure something out while lucid dreaming.
that would be fascinating. Oh my
Don't know
god.
if that exists in your world, Denny, but
Well, lucid dreaming being like you kind of have the ability to control the dream, right?
Mhm.
right.
You kind of did that with that dream where Charity was present.
Yeah. But to actually be in control of that ability.
I see.
Mhm.
It's
We need to take
something
you
I hadn't
to,
really
like,
given. I hadn't really given thought to it, but it's definitely something we could discuss.
Okay.
Maybe along the way to whatever we're doing next, we find like a hypnotherapist or something, you know, so that you can like go in and unlock memories. Be
Maybe.
Interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, with the nature of what I discussed with Denny prior to this campaign, and sort of the what's the word I'm looking for? The themes of Gideon's sort of life at the moment. Knowledge is both a blessing and a curse in this case, and we need to be careful.
Yeah, we maybe don't want to open those floodgates fully, right?
Well,
Slowly, a little bit at a time.
Little
yeah, I'm
bit
not
at a
suggesting
time.
that we do it all at once because I think it could just actually kill him. But
I won't lie to you. I've thought about it. Like, if he loses too much, like I've been keeping track of like where he's at mentally, and like if it's been like an up and down. And it's like if he goes too far down, like he's just gonna leave the party. You'll never see him again.
God, I hate that. Please don't make that happen. I'm
So
so sad.
yeah, I've thought about it. Again, I'm aiming for tragedy, but I'd love it if he could succeed. I want him to make it through. I do. I want him to live, but I understand the reality of the character I've made. So, you know,
Right.
I'm prepared to send that on his way. I hope I don't have to.
You were also marked in the book as a person of interest.
That freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, if you notice, Gideon asked in like the law office,
Yeah.
he's like, what does that mean? Like, so-
Just totally casual and curious what it means to be
Yeah.
a person of interest.
strange
Totally
question, I know. But
Casual.
totally casual. What
casual.
does that mean? So yeah, I think what's going on with Gideon is he's afraid because he was labeled as a person of interest. Now he's like, did I do something bad? Like maybe I had something to do with what happened there, and I don't even remember it. So now he's having that thought process, which is kind of unraveling him as well. Or if it's like maybe he was, needed for something. There's been a lot of things that are lining up. It's like, okay, he's the host. What's he the host of? I don't know. Now he's a person of interest. Okay, this is starting to look really bad. So we need to figure this out. But we'll see if we enjoy or absolutely hate what we find. But I'm looking forward to it regardless.
Oh god. Cool. All right, Logan. Out of curiosity, did anything in particular from the information that you gained about the various druid paths, did anything stand out to you or to Azaria? Specifically?
Oh, I need to reopen that to double check what all it said. It was so much. I don't think there was anything strongly that was oh, that's it's all new stuff. Their connection with druids was one circle that was very different than anything else, and none of these things really give anything in them was oh yes, that is druid stuff. That resonates a bell. They're all just these areas of weird natural anomalies, I think, is one of the things that's kind of common with them that's piqued their interest. But yeah.
The other thing I was wondering, does any of that information feel super actionable to us right now? I mean, I think we're all kind of leaning towards the ghost dragon because it's kind of the closest to us. But honestly, I'm feeling so nervous about all of it because it all feels way too big for us to deal with. So, yeah.
I guess that's a great point, because in my mind I was we could even go there before Brawl Bar in my mind, but maybe we're not ready. Maybe that's a great point.
To deal with a ghost dragon? Not even close.
Yeah.
We're gonna get destroyed.
I think we got this.
We're level 5!
Look at all the level 20 areas we've thrown ourselves into before and survived.
Well,
I don't know if those were level 20.
That's my fear of going to Brawl Bar as well, is that okay, if we go there first and we still kind of feel how we feel right now, I'm okay, so then we just have to go out and figure do it. That seems too big. It seems too beyond us.
Sure. Well, I mean, we've talked about doing some monster hunting on the way, with DNR. So maybe we maybe the next little bit for us is that whole getting better as a fighting group, and that's what we could do while we're traveling to Brawl Bar, and maybe in there, it's a larger city. There's probably some more, maybe there's a arena or something.
I don't want to fight in an arena.
I do.
Oh.
But I have to be stronger first. One thing I didn't say from that document that was really cool is the leader sleeps on a bed that's made out of a rock skull. Pretty metal.
Andra sleeps in a rock skull.
Why not, All right, Dallas.
Hi.
How is Elwyn feeling that there are so many possibilities of what the stranger could be?
I mean, look, it's been 300 years of this shit, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It sucks, but it's I don't know. I am way more concerned about it now than I was before, because I think originally my thought was it's an archfey, and I'm gonna find its name, and I'm gonna go back and be hey bud, got your name. Now you can I guess in my mind it was always kind of more of a riddle thing, find my name and you can have your body back.
Like a Rumpelstiltskin kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so in my mind that's what I was doing, but thinking now that it is maybe a demon trapped in that forest, why does it need its name? And what does giving its name, what is that gonna do? I'm starting to feel a little concerned about that. So
the way you just worded that really just threw me. The fact that
is it a devil that's trapped in the forest and it needs its name to leave? Does it not know its name?
I fully had not thought about that. I thought it was truly just you need the name. for
That's what I
whatever reason.
originally thought until we talked to that elf, and he was like, "Oh, I think it's a devil," and now I'm not feeling so great about it anymore. But I also don't have a choice. So
Yeah.
we're just gonna keep going down this path, and I'm not gonna mention it to the party until I am more convinced that this is not a problem.
I'm glad we're all keeping really important secrets for each other. It's good.
I don't think I've kept any secret.
Oh,
I don't think I
Cute.
haven't kept secrets from the party, but again, like a lot of my secrets are just in what I don't know. So
I think Ella, it's not that I'm like keeping secrets because I don't trust you. It's more that like I'm afraid that if you all realized or like came to these conclusions on your own, that you would be like, "Why are you with us? You're obviously a liability." So I think it's more like she's like, "Just push it all down. It's gonna be okay. Let's just continue on and pretend like it's fine."
This is what I'm talking about with this freaking group. It's like we're all so consumed by our own guilt, you know, of you being like, I'm a liability. I'm like, as if like that's not how Nell feels too, especially after the fucking fireball. Like,
And
well,
Azaria puts that out all the time. I can't use a damn sword and I'm a tactician.
Yeah, I can't do
Yeah.
anything in combat. Just give me goddamn books.
I'm concerned I'm going to release a devil on the world is the problem.
well, maybe instead of Rollbar, we just casually go to hell next.
I said that. We could go to hell.
Yeah,
Maybe
let's
I'll
just
find
go to
some more
hell.
information about devils that have been trapped in the wild are there.
Yeah, perfect.
So
Excellent.
this stupid
Next
library
wild
wasn't
search.
keeping track of it.
Next wild search is all of us going to hell.
Yeah.
Is that, that would make it easy for us. We wouldn't have to figure out how to get there. So,
And then I can find a demon to trade my soul to use magic. Great.
wow.
Everyone solves their problems in hell.
Yeah, nothing goes wrong in hell. I think that's classically been known to be
Uh,
the case.
There's no
Also,
books about that backfiring.
in this setting, I'm referring to them as the infernal realms.
I was actually going to ask you about
Sure.
that because I was like, we keep calling it hell, but I'm like, I just have to assume that's not what you're referring to it as. Infernal realms. Okay. I like that. I approve, so you can keep it.
It's very basic, but it does the
Uh,
job.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Adam, I had a question for you, which was I personally found it really interesting to find out from that conversation with Mary Mouse that you're not the only Argan folk who's been like a reincarnated soul. Like I got the impression that it wasn't all of them, but only some like end up having kind of like memories of who they were previously. Is that correct, Teni?
So the way that works is all the soul gems are occupied, or all the soul shards are occupied by a soul, and they had all been, well, all Argan folk and all the Starborn are technically all reincarnated people.
Right. That
Whether
makes sense.
some people are able to kind of revisit those old memories or feel those old connections, like find family or something like that. That doesn't happen for everybody, but like old personalities or old ideals kind of seem to come through. Like it's not like the person is lost, it's just this new body.
I
Sometimes
see.
those memories aren't there, but the person, the essence of them still is who they had been before.
Cool. I'm kind of more confused, but that's all right.
Perfect. Anyway, Adam, question.
That was it. It was kind of just like the concept that like
Happy
I
I can
feel like
answer
it
for
was
you,
like-
Adam.
it's kind of
anytime,
like a
buddy.
unique like element to Abe of him, I think, thinking that he's kind of like because he is like different from like other just regular Argan folk, but at least in like that regard, he's not unusual. It's not really a question, I suppose, but
Clarification.
yeah. Whatever. I don't know. It's just something I found interesting, and I'm like kind of curious to see like how that potentially plays out. But anyway, okay, Danny, I went for you too.
Oh my god.
What was
But I
your
took
favorite part
Adam's.
of-
Adam, you can take this one.
Sure.
It was really like obviously you did like an insane amount of work for us leading up to these past two episodes, creating all this lore and everything. I guess like I'm just a little bit curious about your process, and if like as you're writing everything, if like you did find like certain things that connected and you're like, ah, cool, or like certain things like you went in with the desire to have them connect, you know?
Right. So my process for this lore stuff, I mean, of course I've got pre-existing things from the previous campaign, so it's like there are pieces that exist that are canon. So it's like I have to make things consistent and I have to make them make sense with this new information that gets presented. But there is a lot of this world history that is completely unwritten, especially since like the last campaign was just 250 years underground. So like the surface world is basically up for grabs in terms of what I can create. The far past, everything's up for grabs. And with a lot of these questions coming up, I'll be like, okay, I feel like I should think about what is the ancient history. I've already thought about the origin of the world, so that's been covered, and Adam and Logan are aware of that information because of their backgrounds and their proficiencies. And I've started thinking about like middle history, recent history, just because of the questions you guys are asking. And in a way, it's counter to how I would normally want to DM, where it's like, I won't necessarily create something until it becomes relevant. But the questions you guys ask, I'm like, okay, I have to flesh out a lot more to make sure things are satisfying, that they are still consistent, and they're following the rules of this world. And I feel like I've lost the original question. So, yeah.
Just kind of like, I think you like got pretty close to what I was asking. This one I didn't have written down, so good luck me trying to remember what it was. But just kind of like, while you were writing it, did certain connections like make themselves apparent to you, or did you kind of go in, like for instance, like with like mine and Dallas's connection, was that kind of like oh, this would be interesting, or did you kind of like purposely like
it's a blend of things. Sometimes like there are pieces of information where I've known like since the beginning of the campaign, I'm like, this is going to connect to that, like that fox imagery I presented to you in your background. And Raynard,
can we just say on the record, because I want you to clarify this for everyone else, that what you told me like a couple weeks ago in person, which was that you had Raynard picked out before I ever mentioned foxes to you. Is that right?
That is correct.
Like, I just feel like you had such a like non-reaction to that, because that fucking blew my mind. Like, okay, I guess like I don't know for sure because I couldn't find it in the book. But like, and I'm not gonna look it up now because I don't think I even have the right book to do so. But when you say that, like, what is it, like a fox-based thing, or is it something that you then flavored later to be fox-based?
It is something that has been statted out in a Kobold Press book, and like it is fitted to be a Fey Lord, is how they've described it in this book. But the original origins of Raynard, at least from what I understand, is Raynard is actually like is true medieval oh dear, what's the word I'm looking for? Like folklore. He is English folklore from like the medieval ages. Like he is a trickster, prominent in many stories, and I guess he was kind of adapted as a stat block to D&D, and I just was like, I saw him, I was like, yep, you're coming into the game, and I've adapted him.
Teni, that makes me feel actually crazy. Like, I don't understand like how perfectly that worked out. Like, anyways, sorry, I've been like literally reeling from that for like 2 weeks.
But going back to the question previous about when I was writing up the lore, if how things were connecting. Yeah, sometimes there are bits like that where I'd known far back, but as I was writing some things, I'd be like, holy crap, it just makes sense that these things go together. So I start tying these knots where I see the connections that like, yeah, they would absolutely affect each other. Or I've written this thing, where can I slot it? That's the perfect spot. So some of these things just perfectly work out.
I love that. So fascinating. Also, I just want to say one last thing about like how that worked out, because I think like it's interesting, just like in terms of like our own, like us as people, kind of like what we found interesting growing up. Because I was telling you that a little bit in person about how like I grew up reading a lot of like indigenous based folklore stories, and like the fox as a trickster was very prominent in that. So like I think that's partly like why like even now like I find it very interesting. So like the fact that like that kind of like fueled me, and then you had like found your own stuff with it as well, and it kind of just combined.
Mhm.
It's very
Yeah,
cool.
that's something else I like that I can bring to the table, is like a different cultural perspective.
Mhm.
Even though a lot of it feels very traditional D&D, I can add like little hints of indigenous storytelling that I've heard as a youngin.
Little babe. Wonderful. Denny, the next two questions are for me. So
Well, don't mind if I do. So, I want to know, how does Nell feel about, one, her time magic being far beyond that of most practiced masters of the arcane, and two, that in other situations where time magic has gone awry, that a simple dispelled magic would be enough to reverse the effects of that?
bad. I don't believe it. I was telling you this before. I don't believe that it's as easy as that. I really don't. I was literally talking about this last night, and Anthony was like, well, I don't know. Like maybe like Daddy is kind of like trying to like reverse psychology you to thinking that like, oh, it is too easy. And then it actually just is that. But I'm like, I don't think so. I'm very suspicious, mainly about it. But yeah, what I had said last night in the episode about like the different like perspectives of time was actually like an in the moment kind of theory that I came up with. So and I think like that's something I'm going to try to expand on, like the concept that like because wizards are practicing from like a certain like within certain parameters, that influences like how they would see time and thus how they could affect it, whereas like I didn't have that, and I also like wasn't specifically trying to do anything, so I think the energy just kind of like manifested however it felt like, and especially with it being connected to the wilder, like time there is different. So like it's a really interesting concept to me as a player if that's like kind of what happened, but terrible in character because it's like well then no one here at least knows how to do anything about it potentially. So yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering, like, is Charity Cozybug still alive, or is she dead?
I'm trying to think if you guys would know. No, you guys would know. Charity is still the Grand Arcanist of the
That's what I
Arcanet
was
Institute.
missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Can't wait to pull out every favor we have to try and get a meeting with her.
And you know, on that same topic, in your research, Nell, there was another section that had kind of talked about the desolation. There is one other hero from that battle that is still alive as well, themselves a paladin.
Is that Dan?
Dan the Bugbear, yes, indeed.
Dan the man. Whose character was that?
That was Nick Casali.
Okay.
Dan is still alive. That's amazing.
Yeah, he's out there as Old Man Dan.
Oh, that's
Ah.
incredible.
I hope we meet Old Man Dan.
I hope we meet Old Man Dan too.
Cool. Yeah, if I'm being honest, I haven't really thought too much about like, yeah, I didn't bring up any like the desolation stuff that you wrote out for me because I assumed like that was kind of just for me to know because everyone else like already kind of knows what happened, but I, for whatever reason, struggle to like keep the facts of it in my mind. I don't know why. So yeah, to me, I guess it's good to know that they are alive, although I don't think it has any relevance to Nell at all. But I guess maybe if we could figure it out, then
You know that there is
we
a
might have, like, a
high-level
perspective.
paladin out there in the world.
Yeah, I guess, but I think that isn't super meaningful to me just because they're a paladin, just because I'm like, my issue isn't like with that, I guess.
Yeah.
Where is Meadow's basket? We are close to that actually though. Well, maybe I'll think about it in character and bring it up. We'll see. Because yeah, that's just outside of Allen Bridge. It's a whole region, right? It's not like a specific city.
That's correct. Yeah.
Well, that's less helpful.
Yeah, it's basically the region between Valenbridge and Brolbar.
Oh my god, there's so many areas that we actually like could hit on the way, because like we're gonna pass Tuck Forest, and that has the portal to the Wilder.
You're gonna go to the Wilder right now?
No, but it is interesting though, Dallas. Okay. There's too many ways that we could do things. That's all I'll say about that. Cool. I know what the next question for me is, Teni, but I'm going to make you wait on it and ask other people about it first.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. So I just wanted to see like if anyone wanted to talk about their specific like leveling up role play moments that they had. I know Dallas definitely did, but if anyone else had anything, because if I'm being honest, I've kind of forgotten who did what, if anything. So
sort of like, oh sorry, Gideon, like leading up to level 5, I've mentioned it a few times in like in our conversations, but Gideon's just been practicing quick reloads. And now he can reload both guns on one turn. So basically, yeah,
that's good.
He's leveled up now. He will continue to practice.
And you get to go get a fancy upgraded gun eventually.
I'm so excited.
I mean, so also Gideon, like, remember back to Starcross, like they when you were doing that class, they were talking about like enhancing your gun mechanically. You might be able to do that while you're still in Valenbridge if you want to pay for that sort of thing.
Oh, like the
like maybe upgrading the clip size or
clip size. Okay.
Yeah, like what you're getting, what you're probably going to get in Brawl Bar is something magically enhancing.
Don't mind if I do. I'll see if I can make it a 6-shooter. I think 8-shooter is a little bit too much to ask for a fantasy setting, so I'll
just
go with
make
a
it
revolver.
a full-on Glock.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's a brand that makes no sense, by the way, but I won't rant about it.
Yeah, 5 was a good level up for Elwyn. 6 is going to be a very good level up. I'm very excited for 6. But 5 was good too. And I think there were a couple things that happened with 5 that haven't like super come up yet because we haven't had any combat. But one of the things that I think was like an interesting development in the character is I dropped Repelling Blast as an invocation and took Agonizing Blast instead. And I think that's an interesting evolution of Elwyn, because my original design for her combat was like, go the fuck away, don't touch me, I don't want to fight, just go over there. And I think like acknowledging that maybe she does actually need to do damage more than keep things away from her is an interesting evolution for her. But the other fun thing that happened in that level up is taking the Farscribe invocation. I'm stoked about this. And I liked the way that we did this level up, Teni, because you and I talked about it outside of game, and I was kind of like, oh, whatever, we like, you know, we did it outside of game, it's fine, but we did also do it in game. But the book that Wallela gave me now has the back pages act as like sending paper, but only for the names I can write, or the names that are written in the book. And so I put a lot of thought into like who is going to go into that book, because I can only have 3 names, and they have to write their own names in the book. So like if we decided to remove Finn, we wouldn't be able to put him back in until we actually saw him again, right? So there's a lot of like theory crafting to who goes into this book. But I thought Finn was a choice that I wasn't planning to do until like the moment it happened. I wasn't planning to put Finn in there at all, because I didn't really know what we were doing with him, where he was going, or like what was going on. But as soon as we realized he was going back to Varmhall, is that what it's called? Hall? Yeah, it's kind of like, well, maybe that is a good person to have. I think part of everything that's happening with Ellen right now is I have a hard time trusting a lot of people, but I feel like I trust this group, and by extension, I'll trust your brother. And I think it's very important that the people we put in this book are people we trust, because if we're going to use this properly, to be like, hey, can you look up this information? Or, hey, how are things going over here? I really want to be able to trust that we're getting proper information from those people. So I am concerned. I don't know who the next person in the book is going to be, but I would like someone from Valenbridge, but I'm not sure who it is. I'm thinking either Janet or Yulumfa is the other person who could go in this book. but I don't know which one I trust more or
Oh.
at all.
I mean, I would literally trust Yulump with my life.
Well, and see, that's I don't know what's happened to me lately, but honestly, I'm like, she's maybe too nice.
Oh my god, Elowen has such.
I have
issues.
destroyed Dallas.
You've actually caused a lot of problems for me.
Oh my god.
I feel like then you could almost pick Janet because she's kind of like, I mean, she's like just been solid, I think, but
That's
she.
I kind of feel like I'm
Yeah.
leaning more towards Janet. And she could still get information, but I do like the idea of being able to message someone and be like, hey, can you go to the library and look this up? And like give us this information when we're not there. That could be very handy to have. But maybe Janet can do that too. I don't know. But if anyone has thoughts, because I'm torn. But before we leave Valenbridge, I think we should put someone in this book so we can have some talking points, some communication points around the map.
You should do
I've-
the innkeeper, the grandma, or whatever.
Yeah.
Dallas, do you think Janet will put her name in the book?
I mean, so here's the thing though, is that we can talk to her like, hey, like we'll help you as well. Like if you have shit you need out here, we can help you. You know that we're capable, kind of. It can be a trade-off. Yeah, maybe she wouldn't, and then I'll go talk to Yulump.
I think you should put Papar.
Can I put a construct in there?
Like that little guy.
He
He's
has a
pretty cool.
name.
Yeah, I
Yes.
guess so.
I don't see why not.
Can he write? With his little wings?
He has hands, right?
He's got 4 paws and 2 wings.
Oh, there we go. Well,
Teni,
maybe I'll have to
draw him. I want to see
Oh,
him
yeah.
so bad. He sounds so cute, and I love him. Yeah, no, that's a good question. We'll have to figure out.
yeah,
who
I'll
would be the most,
confer
like,
with the group, I
strategic.
suppose, at some point. But yeah, before we leave, we should put someone's name in the book, and I'm just not sure whose. I thought it was funny that you brought it up when we were with like the Reeve and the Chandier, though. So I was just like, sure, that would be a cool name to have in there, but again, I don't trust these people. We just met them.
That's fair.
And I really
don't
think
know.
we need to solidly trust whoever we put in this book if we're going to trust that they give us good information.
Yeah, that makes sense. But at the time, I didn't know it was only 3 people, so I just thought maybe you just could put whoever in and just have it.
Yeah,
That'd be
Finn also
handy.
kind of like, yeah, because in my mind as well, I was like, this could be cool in the future if like we wanted to like, if we wrote our own names in the book and then we like split off and like did things. Like Elowen can sit in the middle and like send notes back and forth to different people, but I'm starting to fill up the pages in the book very quickly, so it's starting to be a little less likely that that'll happen. But
I mean, the benefit of doing party members is like, if for like a session you throw their names in, then you just erase them afterward because you're gonna
exactly.
see them again.
Exactly. I'd like to keep like
True.
a free space for that. I think it would be very handy.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Then
Well,
you
I'm
could have
very
a telepathic
appreciative.
link.
Exactly.
and
I have a
sending.
telepathic link and a sending, and we could split off, and Elowen can just be like the communicator.
Whoa,
That's really cool.
That'd be really fucking cool.
You're the guy in the van with the laptop.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that you put Finn in there because that was really nice.
Yeah.
To like feel like it's not just like, okay, well, he's gone. Maybe I'll see him in like 6 months to a year. And so they continue to not know what's going on over there. So
Yeah. I feel like I have the most trust in him. Just by extension.
that makes me happy. All right. Anyone else have a cool level up situation?
I've focused on a memory to try to learn how to better, like, push energy around my body.
Yeah. What was that mechanically? Because I actually wasn't understanding. Like, what,
I now
'cause
have
we haven't seen it.
unarmored movement and extra attack, so
Oh, okay.
I'm more agile.
I
faster.
also like the idea that when you consumed the soul of that worthy person, that you got like a boost.
Mm.
Like Malden was like, "Okay, buddy, we can work together."
Yeah. I see you.
True. That's interesting too.
I died.
Yeah, that was fun. Like, okay, so to be fair though, this isn't technically, I don't think at least like part of the level up, because it feels like it's going to be actually for the next one. But I mean, we could talk about how you dying and coming back gave you a little bit of magic. Like, what the fuck?
Literally,
Yeah.
what is happening?
Yeah, like, oh my god.
Even I don't
also-
fully know.
That is the biggest trick in the world. Okay, bud. Casual. No big.
That cup's empty, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely
It is now.
as it stands. Because yeah, my level up was another level in Learned before this thing took effect. So this is definitely, I think, leading to possibly my next level up. Definitely now it's like, you know, thrown some wrenches in the plan of like, oh, but I thought Azaria would be going forward, being like, oh yeah, you know, like, here's a bunch of levels in Learned, here's some ideas I have, and I'm like, I'm getting closer to that thing I want. Don't think I can't not try this. But yeah, for this one, it's the main thing that I'll get is I'll be able to help every turn by using one of my attacks from extra attack. Which will then play into some stuff later. So I think like when we get that like tactical talk with each other, that's where mine will kind of come up and being able to like support the party a bit more.
I'm really excited for it. I'm hoping it'll be you and Adam that runs that, because I cannot speak in any sort of tactical way at all. So I'll just be sitting there like, sounds good. Excellent. Because like we need to do it, but I just not like a strength. So but yeah, this is a question that Dallas wrote specifically for you, Logan. I just kind of want to like read it the way that she wrote it, because is like Rhea aware of this magical shift canonically, and if so, how the fuck Azaria feels about this? It's their biggest hope and dream, and the rest of the party doesn't even know about it.
3 question marks.
Yeah, so I think they realize that something has changed. I don't think that they fully realize what it is. And how it'll manifest. And I have some ideas for next session on some stuff that I'm going to do to like start working this in for whenever, you know, in 17 sessions when we hit level 6. Yeah, I think I've got some ideas. You know, in both like as a player and like what would Rhea do with magic. It's that like, what do I take this one level up in?
Oh, true. Yeah. Like,
Gotta
what
be
if
druid.
any of them?
I would actually make a pretty bad druid. I'm not very wise. And I can't multi-class into a lot of spellcasters.
Yeah, like what would your main options be?
The ones that make the most sense are wizard or artificer in terms of like what my stats are. Lore-wise, druid makes the most sense. So I'm kind of torn between wizard and druid at the moment.
Yeah, but haven't you been tired of being bad?
It's true.
Yeah, you're going wizard. I know you're going
Like-
wizard.
But just
And he
played
knows
I
so
played a wizard in my
historical.
last campaign.
Oh, that's true.
No.
That is true.
Like Saren was a wizard, and that was the last long like class I played. So maybe
By the way,
I'll do
I'm
an
totally
artificer.
joking. I'm so sorry, Logan.
No, Rhea has sucked at
Fine.
all combat-related
Savage.
things.
I'm just saying,
you
if
could
we
pick it
had
up.
one person with Spare the Dying,
Well, an
90% of our
artificer can learn
problems-
Spare the Dying as one
Yep.
of their few cantrips.
There you
That's
go.
true.
And a paladin, if they were actually doing the paladin thing.
I have no idea.
I don't think paladins get
One of the
cantrips.
fighting styles can. It's like Blessed Warrior or something. You can learn 2 cleric cantrips.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's one of
What?
the.
that would've been cool.
ones.
Well,
Teddy,
What about our
the
cleric?
amount of emotions I just witnessed you go through.
Look at his I'm an animated man.
I love it.
Rhea did really like that steampunk suitcase, though.
That steampunk
That could-
suitcase was
that could
cool.
be
That
the
could be the
jump start
thing.
of the artificer.
Oh, maybe.
Oh,
I want
Maybe
one.
start tinkering with that. Go into the one that has like the cannons. I'd just make the storm bow into a cannon.
That'd be pretty cool.
And then we
We're
fight
getting
the ghost
steampunk
dragon.
in here.
Yeah.
On a pirate ship. Got it.
An airship.
Yeah. Ooh, that's so fun.
Make it
I love
happen,
it.
Daddy.
Yeah. Cool.
I will jump in with another question. So,
Great.
for Christy, the evening
Hey.
after your first day of research, you once again tried to commune with Reynard and Fyra, and you got to hear your ancestor for the first time. So, how are you feeling about this and the potential realization that the magic coming from the Wilder isn't actually malicious?
It's one of those things where, again, I feel like we crammed so much in the past 2 episodes that like a lot of because we were just like really trying to get like the lore out, which I think is totally like justified, because I think that's like a great thing to have accomplished before the end of 2021. So, but yeah, I think like a lot of like for all of us, like the kind of like kind of emotional story beats that have happened, like none of us have had a chance to like either deal with or like talk to each other about at all. Because I'm like, fuck, that was such like an impactful moment, but I just don't feel like I've like had a chance for it to really land in character. Because yeah, that's crazy. Because like that was like everything that was wrong the past, yeah, what would be, I guess, a year and a half ish, year and a couple of months now. Like, because that was like the first and like biggest lie that Nell ever told, was that like she had also heard Fyra, because that's like how everyone starts off on their paladin journey. So yeah, it was really intense, and the fact that she was like, "Oh, it's okay." I'm like, what is it? Like, why is it happening this way? So that was like another thing that's like part of like the roller coaster that I'm on right now, of being like, oh shit, like this terrible thing happened, but then I like was able to talk to both of them kind of, or at least like interface in some way. It's making me feel very confused, like that, because it was like that plus like the conversation with Finn of being like, well, maybe this was like meant to be how it goes, but I just don't think like I still fully understand like why that would be, why it was like meant to be that way. But I do think like clinging on to like the concept of like I'm just channeling energy and it's just coming out like the only way that it can, but it's not like it's not like something that Reynard specifically is like purposely doing effects, because that also is just a theory, like I don't know for sure, like that's like I'm guessing, because as of right now I think the only thing that he's done outside of like me is the door thing with like changing the direction of them, right?
And
like,
are you sure that was him? How can you be so
Why?
sure?
why
When will Nell stop asking why and just accept?
I just got so full of rage, Teni.
Bars.
Actually, no, why would you ask me something like that? Don't add. Okay. I dislike it.
Because chaos magic.
Oh. Just seemed very like well timed. That's all I'll say if it wasn't intentional. Well, that's even worse. I guess I won't know for sure until like we make it to the Wilder to know if it is just like just power or if it is like him. So man, I was feeling really good about that, and then you said that thing about the door, and now I'm like, now I hate it. Now I'm like nervous again. Oh, okay. My cat is. I muted myself halfway through that sentence because I was trying to do something else. Anyway. So cool. Can we take a break really quick so I can deal with my cat, and then
Sure. All right.
because I'm
by
the only
all
one in the
means.
house, so he's going to continue to meow until I deal with that. So
Right.
I will be right back.
See everybody in a bit.
I gave my cat drugs, and now he's good to go. Responsible. This is how you be a working mom at home, you know?
And now we're
Give-
back.
Give him drugs. Okay, Dallas.
Hi.
You wanted to speak a little bit about Walela and how Elowen is feeling about her, because it
Yeah.
seems like it's changed a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, is I just really don't know. Here's the thing, is, yeah, like a couple sessions ago, everything was cool. Everything was chill with Layla. And then a couple sessions ago, she was like, hey, I want you to go look up stuff about gods, and also don't tell anyone that you're working for me. And that raised a couple red flags in my brain, right? Like, that's not super great. And I started like thinking about it. And I think the problem is that Dallas had too much time to think about it, because that happened, and then there were a number of episodes between it, and I just started thinking way too much about it, and I got very in my own head about it, and I was like, what is she doing? What am I helping with? What am I doing? And then so I was trying to figure out like, how do I like kind of try to figure out what's going on with her? And I realized that I don't really know how she watches me. And so then I started being like, can I talk to like Azaria about this, or will she know that I've talked to Azaria about this? Can I read a book, or does she know that I've read a book? And so I started getting very stressed about that. And so then I tried to ask her about it, and I was just like, hey, what's just curious, casually, like, how do you watch me? And then you said something, Teni, and I truly don't know how you meant this to be taken, but I took it poorly, because you were like, if it seems like I'm watching you, I probably just got lucky. And I went, oh, lucky. Sure. I believe you. And that really ruined things for me. And so then I got very stressed about it. And I really, like, I don't know, I feel very claustrophobic now, because I'm like, I don't know if I can trust her. And I don't know if I can talk to anybody about if I should trust her. And I don't know if I can read a book to find out if I should trust her. I don't know what she knows. I don't know how can she read my thoughts? Does she know already that I don't know if I can trust her? And anyways, I've gone down a rabbit hole, and I'm very stressed.
Just having a real
And I really thought
breakdown.
she was... I really thought she might smite me. I don't know, I'm very concerned about everything. And then she was very nice. And again, nice is not sitting well with me right now. Because if I was an evil creature and I was trying to puppeteer my little minion out there, I wouldn't be like, hey, I know you don't trust me. I saw you read that book about me. I would be like, hey friend, here's a really cool magic item. Go be friend. Go have fun. So she's either like chill, nice, and cool, or she's really evil.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure which one it is. And in either case, I need to work with her, which is a problem.
Yeah. I don't know if this has been said either in game or out of it, but Anthony's going theory is like she's trying to ascend to godhood. And like that, like she wants your help to do so.
Sure. But why would she tell me that?
Well, you're just a minion. Why would she? You know? Yeah. Why?
Anyways, I'm just very...
Who are you to her that like you get to know that, right?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I guess that's a great point, because it doesn't matter. I will keep doing what she wants. So I guess she's right. But Alwyn's just gonna have a mental breakdown over here trying to figure it out.
Oh boy.
I really wish I could have found something about her in that book. I feel a little bit better reading about the Sphinxes, because you said they weren't deceitful. So that's okay. But I think it's, you know, you can't generalize a race like that either. You know. So.
Yep.
Anyways, I don't feel great about it, and I truly feel very trapped in this. Because here's the other thing about Elowen's life, is for 300 years, I've had one friend, and it's Azaria. And then I got magic powers, and now I have 4 new friends. So I can only assume that if I fuck up with Wilela and she decides she doesn't want to give me power anymore, I lose 4 friends. So...
Why, like we would drop you?
What would you do with me? If I was just a 9-year-old girl who had 3 HP, what are you gonna do with me? You can't take me anywhere. Are we all gonna get apartments in Valenbridge and just hang out together? No, you're gonna keep doing your quests and you're gonna leave Elowen alone. I can't have that happen.
Dallas, I think you already know how we would bring you around places. No. The answer lies in your heart, Dallas. You know it to be true.
You know, honestly, maybe at that point, I might take it.
Yes!
I really hate it, but I might take it.
Yay!
Yeah,
love it.
no, anyways, I feel very trapped and very concerned. And I really wish she would just tell me. Teni, I'd really wish she would just tell me.
What? That's not my choice.
So that I don't have to be stressed about this all the time anymore.
To be
Can her
fair,
next
though,
quest be like, go save some children? Because I feel a little bit better about doing that for her.
to be fair, Dallas, if you help her ascend to godhood, and then you release this infernal stranger, kind of balances out, you know, just
Assuming she's good, yeah.
oh no, probably not, but you know, it'll all
Otherwise,
work out.
my soul is just connected to 2 evil creatures, which is a really cool thing that I've put myself into twice.
Yes,
I have
seems good.
just walked right in and sold my soul to an evil creature.
Woo. Yep.
Sorry, I'm
I mean,
very stressed.
how much did you even know about her before you
Not
made the
enough!
pact?
Not enough, Christy! These are all questions I should have asked 2.5, 10 days ago.
Oh.
Well, great. Oh my god.
Anyways, I'm just gonna cry. It's fine.
Damn.
I'm
Can't wait to
very
see where it
stressed.
leads.
It's gonna be fine, right?
Gotta love the
Probably.
warlock class.
I actually do love the Warlock class so much. I
love
really
everything
love the
about
Warlock
it.
class.
Except the mechanics.
Oh, Ryan.
No, the playing Elwyn has just so reinvigorated my love for the Warlock class. I think it's so cool. You can do so much fun stuff with it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never played it, so
It's very fun. I really like it.
one day.
And I would like to stay a Warlock, Teni.
Just
why?
find a different thing to make a pact with.
Would you like
You
to
know?
change your internet service provider?
No. Oh, that sounds worse. Maybe.
Sounds worse, but
Could it work?
This is how we end up in these situations over and over again.
Warlock of Comcast? Question mark.
oh, that would be truly evil.
Yeah, your powers would work sometimes. They wouldn't work most of the time.
God.
They would like lag a little bit. Yeah.
God awful. Cool. Well, we were kind of just talking about this over the break, but we just got some super awesome magical items and some cold hard cash at the end of this episode, which was so exciting. And on a scale of 1 to 100, how much are we fighting a dragon in January?
It seems like
2,000.
there's a couple
Yeah.
different options for how we fight a dragon in January, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's true. I guess it maybe if not at Heroes Fest,
It's the ghost dragon.
the ghost dragon for sure. I mean, we're simply not just going to enjoy Heroes Fest. Is the
Certainly
unfortunate
not.
thing.
There's a
Really?
0% chance that we just enjoy Heroes Fest.
No, I think there's a slim chance that
Oh,
we do.
sure.
Look,
Yeah,
the
maybe-
Cleansing Breath mercenaries have made it abundantly clear that when it comes to dragons, they don't take prisoners. So when they're bringing a dragon to Heroes Fest, we're gonna eat that sumbitch. We're
not
gonna
gonna
have
eat
it
a
for
dragon.
supper. It's gonna be great.
I imagine there'll be some degree of blood sport intended beforehand, though.
Perhaps.
But like in a gamified way, or like things are just
Like-
going to go wrong.
Well, I think things will go wrong. You don't say we're bringing a live dragon to a crowded area, and then
But we don't know if it's live or not.
They've probably already killed it. They don't take
just-
prisoners.
I feel like
Hardrak Mithril Coat is going to unleash the Argon Voludium bomb under the city
Yeah,
during
God.
Heroes Fest.
it'll
Through
infuse
the
the dragon.
oh god.
Wait,
I hate
Wait,
this.
hold on. I have a theory.
Uh-oh.
So,
Uh-huh.
Salamancy book. Gone. Right? Soul Magic book. Dragon being brought to city. Okay.
Mhm.
Bring Dragon Soul out of Dragon Corpse. Unleash Ghost Dragon in the city.
Mhm.
We all die.
Game over.
No,
have
see,
been-
Sounds right.
wait. What if though it's not take Dragon Soul out of that? What if it's put Hardrak Mithril Coat's soul into Dragon?
Well,
Oh
Fuck.
no.
Desolation
No.
2.0.
Yeah.
Here it is,
Uh,
baby.
Electric.
I am the
Desoloo.
Midnight Sun.
Oh my god.
So
I
about
don't
those
like
magic
that at all.
items.
I'm just giving
Yeah.
Denny ideas.
Those magic items were awesome.
They're great. I'm looking
Yeah, very
forward to
cool.
mine.
I'm
Yeah.
very excited to see all of everyone use them because it's
Best
gonna be
piece of paper I ever got in my
fucking
life.
cool.
Yeah, Ryan.
I'm
we'll
really
get you
excited.
something.
To call it now, the first time I go to shoot that crossbow, it's gonna be a crit fail. It's
Um,
gonna.
Also, Logan, I should also mention that you got 20 bolts with the crossbow.
Oh, cool. The
I forgot
first
to tell you
session,
that
I was
in
gonna
the
be like,
session.
I need to go buy bolts.
Yeah, no,
I
you
have
got them.
crossbow bolts if you want them.
Oh,
You have
perfect.
crossbow
Why?
bolts?
I have a crossbow.
What?
Oh,
It's not super usable for me, but I've got one sitting
There's
there.
your Eldritch Blast you've been missing.
yeah. I also just wanted to quickly shout out some of the characters we met while we were here in Valenbridge because I really enjoyed like a lot of them. Even though I, as a character, have not interacted with Marimus, he just seems so pleasant, and I'm like, oh, I love him.
Yeah.
I hope we get to see him again, like
Mhm.
after we leave Valenbridge. And also, I'm really into Reeve Grand. She seems super cool, and I like that there's a hot woman that's not Sarze. So thank you for that, Denny. 10 out of 10. Into
Would
her
step
as well.
on again. Would ask
Yeah.
to be stepped on again.
Asked to be stepped on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't make her evil, please. Or do, I guess. That would also be fine. But, cool. That was just a really important thing I had to say. How do we feel about having so many targets on our back? Because we've got Karjak, Sarze, and Parsifal just out and about.
I feel
About as
like
well as
they're
you might
one
think.
organization, though.
I don't know.
Well, I don't think Parsival is.
Not
But
Parsifal so much, but like maybe now at this point, like they've kind of incorporated him, but it's hard to say. Or he might just be off doing.
he also doesn't seem violent.
They might have just killed him. He didn't really do what they needed him to do.
That's also true.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, they killed Sinric.
Yeah.
What's another winemaker?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because he could also like be the face though if they have other things to do. Because if
Not
like
anymore. They know it's
Why?
Parsifal.
no, I mean like in other places though, like
Oh,
not here, but like if there was other things they were doing, because I feel like Sarze just if you look at her too long, you feel sick to your stomach. And Karjak is familiar to a lot of people, so if they need like someone to go in and talk. they could
Well,
keep
and
her around for
Parsival
that,
can also
potentially.
change his appearance.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, I guess actually Sarze can do it for all of them as well, because she can cast seeming.
No, that's true.
I don't know. I'm really not sure what's going on there, but can't wait to see them again and be killed by them.
In one attack.
Kill them in one hit.
Okay. Adam, I have one last question for you, which is what are Abe's thoughts right now after that final conversation with Marimus? Because I feel like it kind of threw you for a loop. Like this whole thing of being like, what if you and the crystal aren't separate, but you're the same?
Yeah.
Great. And next one.
Yep. Loops, circles, flips. Oh boy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of stuff I think that comes up in game, but like Abe had been thinking about like, oh hey, that restorative magic used to de-age me, like that might be usable on the crystal. I'll never have 250 gold. And then 2 days later, oh, we have the money. So yeah, it's a big thing to consider because he doesn't know what's gonna happen. Doesn't know if it'll be him that comes back.
But have we not come to the realization that like the spell you were thinking of using was already cast on you?
Doesn't Greater Restoration have like a single thing that it does? It's not just like a.
So what Greater Restoration does is it does have like a specific parameter of things, but there are also a lot of other conditions that go, oh, this can also be cured by greater restoration, but it isn't listed in that spell.
Sorry, I guess what I mean is like it's like when you go to the doctor's office and they say we'll only do one issue. Greater restoration
Right.
is like we'll de-age you.
Right.
Then we'll cure your
Oh.
alcohol addiction. Like
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
that
so
would be
you're-
2 applications of
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
Oh, so you're wanting it to be like targeted specifically now with
Yeah.
the crystal.
yeah.
Interesting.
But who knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah, that'll be curious. God, there's so many things right now that I'm like terrified to see the outcome of. So that's great.
Sounds like a fun D&D session.
Yeah. Cool. Do we want to discuss any of our current going theories right now? Because I think we're at like that kind of like fork in the road where we have information and not entirely certain like where it's going.
No, I think I'll just speculate.
All right, then I'll pose the question. What's the party's goal?
Yes.
Like in existence.
Who
or-
knows?
I know what my goal is.
I think
And
that's
I
a
think
big
it
problem
kind
is
of
we all
aligns
have
with the
personal
druid
goals.
stuff.
We'll have to sit down in game and discuss where we're going next.
Yeah. Because like if I'm being honest, I actually don't think I know anymore. Like, because I think for the longest time it was like get to Brawl Bar, but now I'm like with everything that we're trying to do, I'm so scared that it won't solve it. And
Yeah, I'm really not sure what the next step is, but I think like overall, it's the druid stuff. And
Sure.
also, I think you're probably right, Logan, that Kardrak is trying to like create Desolation 2.0. So I think it's probably stop that and also deal with druid stuff is like the larger scale stuff, right?
well, because this is what I wanted to talk about in terms of theories, because like trying to figure out. Okay, so Midnight Sun is the crystal. Kardrak is like promoting this thing where like the code phrase is "May the Midnight Sun rise." So like, what is it that he is wanting to come from this? Like, does he want to go back to like the way things were when everything was underground? Like,
I mean, that's what it sounds like, right? Because the Midnight Sun was underground.
yeah.
And he wants that
And
back
he-
for whatever reason.
He has this vendetta against the Fae and elves. Starborn people are going missing, which is what confuses me, because if it was just Arcanfolk, I'd be like, well, maybe he's trying to get enough of these crystals to like remake the crystal, but like I don't know if like how that would happen with organic Starborn, like what their role in it would be.
Well, I think my thing with the Midnight Sun is that the Starborn came out from it, took like, good, bad, all this stuff like gods and stuff and shoved it in there. And so I think like to recreate it, like whatever created this thing needs those specific souls that were in it originally, which are the Starborn, to remake this thing. And then I think that has something to do with like maybe it's creation. It like, oh, all these people go missing, then the doppelgangers can go and assume their positions. This is all for doppelganger supremacy.
Oh, true.
Look at Denny's face.
Yeah, because then like there's this whole thing with the Argon Veludium, which it rocked me to my core in that conversation that you had with Mary Mess, Adam, about like how it's like far as he's aware there shouldn't be any more because it all went into making the Argon folk, but yet there is, and clearly he has enough of it to like give out a vial of it for like this trial to each of the groups. Like if you were working with like a really finite supply, I don't think you would be so cavalier with it. So where is he getting it from? Again, what is the plan? Because I'm thinking like, can he like somehow manipulate it now to like make an army from it instead of just like having people turn to statue? Or is he gonna like air bomb one of the big cities, probably Rolbar, because it's the head of the Ascendancy, and just be like, you're all statues now. It sucks to suck. Like, I don't know. The Argon Veludium is truly the scariest thing in the world to me.
I
Like,
think I swear I think Carjack and the bugs are linked.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
the bugs are going and taking Starborn. So the bugs are taking Argon folk to him to be melted down into Argon Voludium. That's brutal, man.
Yeah, something
that's the
along those
case.
lines. I'm just going over like our theory section, our thing, but like yeah, a lot of that is kind of what.
At some point, I will look at this theory doc.
Yeah, we have a color-coded theory area in the bottom of it. So
Tinfoil hats are welcome.
yeah. Yeah, there's I have a lot of concerns. But yeah, and now especially knowing that like that book on solarmancy was taken, I don't like that because it's all tying together with like if it's soul magic and like starborn people and the crystal, like cool. So they're definitely working towards something, but like what is it? I just feel like it's one of those things we're gonna find out like too late. Like it's already gonna be happening, and then we'll be like, oh, well.
I
It's
almost
the
feel
end
like
of the
it's
world.
already too late.
Yeah.
Like I don't think we
Also-
really stopped anything in the basement of that mansion, you know.
Absolutely not.
I think we just stopped whatever mission they were planning.
Yeah.
I think we delayed them.
Yeah,
But
we might have
they
set
can
them back.
they can do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. It's like, what was the point of the contract? Like, was he trying to smuggle Argon Palladium in and out of the city, or like was there another purpose? Like, obviously, like I think like having like his own kind of like control over it as like taking control away from the ascendancy of like, another one of their big hubs, but.
The other thing
Wow.
too, like I know there's obviously the game side of it, but why did Cersei leave? If she knows that Azaria was at that meeting, like I feel like it's safe to assume the rest of our group would know everything that Azaria had seen. Like, why let us live?
She didn't intentionally kill Azaria either. It was only because Azaria attacked her. I think she was gonna leave without killing you.
Which I didn't like. She wanted the other gangs to kill us,
Yeah.
but then when they were failing, why didn't she just do it herself or try?
Maybe she's the one who blew the place up.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. It was like we're just like not enough of a threat yet, or something, or like her and Karjak had already like decided like at what point they got out of the situation.
I guess
Something.
just
I
seems
don't
like
know.
a big loose end.
Yeah.
A group of 6 people.
Maybe it was like because they did, you know, they didn't do this bit expecting us to be there. Like that wasn't their
Yeah,
plan.
that's
This
true.
was all before we got there. So maybe this was just to like they're like, cool, this is how we'll figure out who can do whatever our weird evil goal is.
It's also concerning, and I like don't even know. I'm like, it's like going to Prolbar. Like, is that where they would be going next? Because they must have a hub somewhere. I hope it's Desilu because I really want to go there. Because the name is really funny to me. But and like we know the bugs are coming from the north, right? Like we have that piece of information. Not that it fucking helps at all, but it's the only thing north of Prolbar is Desilu.
But everything north of
So-
where we learned that information is lots. There's ton north from
Denny, I think you're muted.
muted.
My bad. But yes, exactly what Dallas was saying. You guys learned that in Starcross, so it's like
Oh,
everything
fuck.
north of Starcross
Yeah,
is a
that's
potential
true.
candidate for
That's the whole
from the
map.
north. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, that's fine. We'll just kind of zigzag. We'll figure it out. It's fine. Oh, we're so fucked. Is the
We'll
thing.
uncover the plot the day after it happens.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, and that's what like I'm stressed about because like there's a certain like element to being like in a D&D story where sometimes the plot seems so much bigger than your characters that I always just want to be like, we shouldn't be the ones taking care of
Yeah.
this because it really feels like we should pass this information along to people in the ascendancy and be like, good luck. But I just know that's not the way it's gonna go because that's just not how the stories work. But I'm like, it's so much bigger than us, and if like it's left up to us, it's gonna be like, well, oh well.
That's actually the secret speedrun technique of Denny's campaign is, you know, if we just told the proper authorities, it's like, great, you solved the problems at level 5, you get to live a good full life of no death now.
Great. Good. Okay. Well, I'm glad it's easy. So yeah, before we leave Alabridge, we'll definitely have to sit down with Janet again. Just be like, did you understand everything I was saying to you about what's happening? Because I think it's about to get really bad. and
Critical that you understand.
everyone needs to be very prepared. And do you have any way of communicating with anyone in Rollbar? Because it's going to take us like a long time to go over there. Just based on like how we travel. Probably at least a 10-day, if not more. So
Only a dozen or so sessions. Nothing too long.
good. We'll hit Rollbar in July.
We'll see a nice little camp out somewhere, and then we'll be like, oh, let's go see that. Oh, there's some mountains.
No.
Yep. Perfect. I think we should actually just go back down. We'll just go to the Tempest Expanse first.
Yep.
And then go north.
Yeah.
Seems good.
Pick up that body.
Yeah. Get killed by Abe's old body.
Yeah.
Wait,
that
is your
sounds
body
good.
active? Can it
Yeah, that's
move?
what?
I don't know. Like, I
Oh my
genuinely,
God.
I'm
Oh,
not being
jeez.
facetious or anything. I have no idea.
Oh no.
Anthony's theory is that the center point in the Tempest Expanse is another one of those lay pools,
Ooh.
which would be interesting. And I'm curious because I feel like, well, I don't know how much like you know about what's happening now, because I know, Adam, like you've written a lot of this own lore, and I don't know where you handed the reins over to Teni at. But obviously, like you have some sort of like Camelot inspiration to some of the stuff you're doing because of like Arthur Pendrack, right? Yeah. So I'm like, ooh, what if like your weapon comes out of the lake like Excalibur?
Could do. It could
Or we have to go down to the bottom of the lake. Something, I don't know.
do. I mean, I don't breathe. So,
Hey,
You can just go for a stroll.
perfect.
yeah, he
Awesome
can just
in the
go
lake.
for a long swim.
Great. That'd be fun.
We'll
We're
sit on
just
the
sitting there,
beach.
we're like,
Do you
Hope's
think he's okay? Wrestling a kraken.
Yeah, we'll have that Lord of the Rings fight outside of Moria, you know? The
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
octopus thing.
perfect. That's great. Oh boy, I think that's honestly all of my questions. So
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good place to stop.
us being attacked by a giant kraken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, if you say so.
It'll be interesting to see if that ages well.
Yeah,
God.
Yeah.
It's terrifying to say anything.
I know. Because I could just look at the camera and go, huh?
Boy.
Well, yep, that's about everything. So thank you, everybody.
I
Yeah,
believe we have to wait
Sorry.
so long.
I know. I'm like actually not gonna last.
I can't believe you thought we were gonna wait 4 weeks.
I am such a...
Absolutely not. No
It's like,
way. are
oh,
we
great.
doing that.
I'm going to have a month to prep stuff. Dallas is like, no, one week shy.
Absolutely not. I do not consent.
All right,
Good,
3 weeks.
Hey, I was talking to Christy a couple of days ago as well, and I was like, I can't believe we have to wait 3 weeks for this, and then you dropped 4 weeks on me, and I was like, holy God, I truly will die.
Yeah, I was like, there's absolutely no way that I can just like be normal for that amount of time and not just like lose my mind thinking about theories. So
Well, I love that
No.
you guys love this game as much as you do. At some point, we should throw in a one-shot here to, if we have a month off or something like that, you know, throw something in the middle, but, you know.
I'd be down to run something.
yeah,
Mhm.
eventually in 2022, I will run the Strixhaven adventure. I
Nice.
just have
Very
to. I just have to work up the confidence. So.
No
Anyway.
worries.
Cool. Well, thank you all so much for hanging out with us today as we discussed our research and our theories and these past 2 episodes, Kindling and Curiosity, and today is for books, and next episode is for dragons.
Today is for violence.
If you have any questions about Play Dicely that you'd like us to answer in the future, please send them to me on Twitter at cbkclo or email them to me at cbkclo@gmail.com. And that's all for us. And we invite you to join us next time on Play Dicely After Party. And we will see you all in 2022. Hope you guys have a happy holiday. And yeah, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.